Hi, this is Ross Nickerson, and I'd like to spend a little time with you showing you chord shapes, or chord forms as they're sometimes called. There are three chord shapes for major chords on the banjo tuned in G here, and I'll just quickly show them to you. The first one is named after the F chord, which is played down here. We'll call that the F shape. Sometimes I refer to it as the F form. The next one we'll call the D form, and that will be because of the D chord here at the second and fourth frets. Okay. And the other major chord shape is the bar shape, and I'll call it the bar shape, or you could call it the A form, or normally called the bar form. Okay. Now these shapes are movable, and they cover all four strings. So what I'd like to teach you today, to get you started and to keep it simple, is to have you focus on learning the three chord shapes or chord forms for the chord G and also the chord D. And I'll demonstrate that for you real quick. Here's a G in the F form. This would be the F shape here at the third and fifth fret, and it's a G chord. Okay. The next G chord would be in the D form, this shape of your fingers here, and that's at the seventh and ninth fret here. Your index finger will be at the seventh fret. And next will be the G chord at the 12th fret, barring all four strings at the 12th fret. It's not necessary to bar the fifth string, just fret the top four strings. Now once you get above the 12th fret, you're really just repeating. Up here is the F form or F shape here at the 15th and 17th fret. But you can go ahead and play that, but just to keep it simple, let's stick with these three shapes and just play them in the three places before they begin to repeat themselves. So F form G, D form G, and bar form G. Okay? Now, rather than using a chord chart or a more complicated way of going, let's just figure it out right here without any chord chart and make it easier for ourselves. Now that you've concentrated, assuming that you've learned and mastered the G chords, let's find some other chords from that place. In other words, if you know where G is, it's easy to know where F is. If you're in the same shape, F is always 2 frets below G. Doesn't matter if you're playing the F form type of G or if you're playing the D form type of G. F is just 2 frets below. If you're in the bar form, F is still 2 frets below. Okay? That will help you to find it. So again, if you know G and you're real solid on that, it's easy to find F. It's just 2 frets below. Now, A is just 2 frets above. So again, if you're solid on G, you can always find A by just moving up 2 frets. Doesn't matter which shape you're in. Okay? Keep in mind that open G is technically the bar shape, so 2 frets up from open G is the bar A chord right there. All right, now skipping to the D chords, if you were real solid on D, it's also easy to find several of the chords close to D. The first D chord is here, D, in the D form at the second and fourth frets here. Your index finger's on the second fret. The next one is the bar chord D, which is at the 7th fret. And then you've got an F form or F shape chord here for D, the 10th and 12th fret. Master those. I'm really only asking you to just get the 3 G chords and the 3 D chords down. Once you've got that, it's easy to find the others. From D, C is always 2 frets below. D, C, D, C, D, C. Okay? Now, if you know where D is, E is always 2 frets above, so here's D to E. D, E, D, and E. Okay? Now we've got a couple of chords left that we haven't found going from the G and the D chords, and they're still pretty easy to find. A couple of chords that are commonly used, I should say. One is B flat. That gets used fairly often. And the way to find B flat, or an easy way to find B flat, would be simply to find G and find A, and then B flat is just 1 fret up from A. So if you keep in mind that B flat is just 1 fret up from A. Another chord that you may use fairly often in G tuning is the chord B. And B is pretty easy to find from C, so you would find D, for instance. Find C by dropping down 2 frets. And then B is right next to C, just below a fret. D, C, B is right below C. Okay? Now hopefully by doing it that way, it's simplified it for you, and it's helped you avoid using a page-by-page chord chart. It really doesn't have to be that complicated. You need to be able to get in and out of these chord shapes easily, and that comes with practice, and you just got to really stick with it. If it's a little difficult for you to make the F, which is, I suppose a little bit frustrating for a student that the first 4-finger or more difficult chord they learn is usually F or maybe D. And down here the frets are wider apart, and so it is the most difficult place to play this shape. So you may take it further up the neck, maybe somewhere on the 7th or even the 9th fret up here, and make the shape just until you get the hang of it where the frets are closer together. But just work at it hard. It shouldn't happen in a week, I suppose, but it should happen pretty quickly if you'll simply focus on it, maybe stop picking for a while and really work on chord shapes.